Old chaps and to whoever else is listening, irrespective of what we think, we're doing another one for the first time in ages, historical videos anyway. In combination of the fact that I am in Portsmouth now doing a university degree, or at least a master's, and partly the fact that somebody described one of my, I think it was the 51st Highland video, I was drivel and no wonder, and calling it fake news and all this stuff kind of put me off the idea, even though, as I've always made out, I don't pretend to be an expert. I apparently know 1,001 useless things that always surprise people, but, the internet isn't people. Haha, joking. So if I haven't put it up on screen, the disclaimer is, as always, as it has been since I started doing these in lockdown, that I don't pretend, I don't say this as fact. That's not to say I make it up, but I present things as I have read and have interpreted from books and other such things. If it sparks honest, intelligent debate about something, or polite and respectful disagreements, so be it, all the better. But as I say, the 51st Highland video just invited a rather mean-spirited comment. I know it's the internet and that, but as I read this comment, I was thinking to myself, well, fair enough. This chap is presenting an alternate opinion to, or fact to, what I've been saying. And then it was all this fake news and drivel nonsense. And I was like, well, I never pretended to be an expert. I did the 51st Highland video with the intention of, just bringing awareness. And people, like my Norway video, have presented their side of things, like I think a Norwegian person did. So that's kind of the idea. So without further ado, I'm going to briefly talk about the hot walls in Portsmouth. Now, one of the most quietly impressive features in Portsmouth lies on the seafront close to the harbour mouth, and the harbour alone dates back almost 800 years, possibly even earlier. Henry I might have been one the first chap to use the harbour as a monarch, but who knows? History is murky in that time period. It's been home of the Royal Navy officially since Henry VII made it in 1485. However, it was Henry VIII, the more famous Tudor, or at least famous Henry Tudor, chose to fortify the seafront with features at Southsea Castle and what we now call the Hot Walls. Now, in what is presently Old Portsmouth, which was, excuse me, in Henry's day outside the then town limits, you've got the Square Tower, the saluting platform, and the Round Tower. Excuse me. Which the Round Tower is one of the best vantage points of the harbour, although you don't see all of it, obviously, and it's been featured in God knows what. The name Hot Walls comes from when there used to be a power station which was demolished in the 1990s and sat roughly opposite the entrance to the White Link terminal for the Fishbourne car ferry. Discharge from the station flowed under the walls into the Solent warm in the water. Along the years, the Tudor forts were either added to or modified along the way. To the east of the Square Tower lies the Long Curtain Moat and King's Bastion, which are further Tudor fortifications, all of which, and then some, incorporated into World War II defences. It was through the Sally Port at the Moat that Nelson left Portsmouth for HMS Victory, moored off the coast in 1805. And that was the last time Nelson ever set foot on dry land, as of course he died at Trafalgar. With the addition of the Napoleonic War defences in the early 19th century, Portsmouth apparently was one of the most fortified places anywhere on the planet. Now, what is incredible to me anyway is that they remain to this day. Though you've got mod cons, various additions, lighting, whatever, and even though most of Portsea has changed beyond, from even when I was a child in the 1990s, they still remain. And indeed, coastal erosion doesn't seem to have affected them too much. Even the Royal Navy, though, is vastly smaller. The base at Portsmouth is one of something like 3 bases in the entire United Kingdom, where once upon a time, not too long ago, there was almost a dozen or so bases. People fish from the jetty, or walk, or sit on the pebbled beach. But these structures have seen some incredible sights. Walter Raleigh left for what is now Virginia from here. The first settlers of Australia left here, and in 1662 Princess Catherine of Braganza arrived from Portugal to marry King Charles II. Indeed, they married at what is now the Garrison Church, which has stood since 1212 in Portsmouth. She asked for a cup of tea, which was popular where she was because of the crossing. More recently, this part of Portsmouth was flooded by people coming to watch some of the task force leave for the Falklands in May 1981, and lately the Invincible led the task force, at least left as part of the task force in 82 to also watch in more recent times than that, until she was scrapped, even when she was scrapped. Indeed, by the hot walls against the shadow of the square tower is a Falkland War memorial complete with Falkland flag, and it bears the names of those from the Navy, Marines and Merchant Navy who were killed in 1982. Nowadays, hot walls is by expression for creativity. There's a bunch of art studios hidden in the arches. There have been there a few years now, and there's a canteen called The Canteen in the round tower on the ground floor. It's quite interesting to be in somewhere that Henry VIII had built to, throughout the war. As far as the square tower goes, you can get married there if you want to, and there's been concerts and still are, and there's all manner of events. It's quite incredible, really. It's worth a walk. A lot of people do it, idiot joggers included. But as far as Portsmouth goes, there's other fortifications and defences, like Southsea Castle, as I say, and indeed out on Hayling Island, for instance, there are anti-invasion pillboxes from 1940. Hopefully the hot walls will remain for many a century to come. So hopefully that brief missive, even though it's a few minutes long, is vaguely interesting, and we'll see if we do any more of these. Stay safe.